Hello world, what is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest is a CEO, a vlogger, an educator, philanthropist, a podcaster, and today, with the release of his highly anticipated and absolutely remarkable thing, a novelist. Now, I could regale you with stories of his millions of followers or his billions of video views, and honestly, there's like 100 other things this dude does that I can add to that list, but we only have like 15, 20 minutes to chat, and I really want to talk to him about this book because I read it and I loved it. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author of an absolutely remarkable thing, the great Hank Green.
Hello.
It's Hank Green, everybody.
Hi. I feel so inadequate in terms of my shoe game right now. Can we just bring them up? Like, show me.
You want to touch?
Oh, man.
Touch soles?
I'm just like wearing my hiking boots right now.
Just 20 minutes. This is the interview. Can we just?
You know, it's kind of relaxing. Get the other one up.
You want to do the other one? Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
It's a lot of core work.
Yeah.
I'm
engaging a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I say that I do.
That's the important part.
That's half the job, isn't it?
Good.
Hank, congratulations, sincerely, on this wonderful book, man. I've been reading it over the past couple of days. I really got lost in it, and I loved it, and I really did. So I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
And I'm very excited to hear how things are going with you. And that's exactly where I want to start. We'll get into the process. We'll get into all of that. But because we have time, one of the things I love to begin with is just, how the hell are you? How's Hank doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I got up this morning, took a shower. I came out of the shower. My baby was screaming, and I was like, what's wrong? I have a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So I come, and I've got my just underwear on, and I'm wet, and he's having a bath. So he's having a nice New York City hotel room bath, and is hating every minute of it. But he's loved the city. We're from Montana, so we don't see a lot of helicopters, and he's just like, brum, brum. And I'm like, there's another helicopter. You have a lot of those here.
Yeah, we got quite a few. I have no idea what any of them are doing, but they're everywhere.
Just up and down the Hudson.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just keeping an eye on something.
Yeah. So I'm doing good. I see the whole world through his eyes now.
That's pretty amazing,
Yeah.
man. That's got to be a wonderful way to go through every day, though, right?
Yeah.
It's
He's
nice.
really cute. It's intense.
Intensely cute?
Yeah, no, it's too much. I'm like, tone it down. Can you take it down 2 cute notches? Because everybody is way too charmed right now.
You're only 2. You've got so much life ahead of you. You can't be this cute this early in the game.
Don't burn the candle too bright, my man.
You know, as a dude that's been putting out content and making content and a creator for the better part of a decade, man, like how has this been different? How's this release been different? This process been different? Has it been?
Oh, I mean, I started writing this book 5 years ago. So like that's different. That's a very different thing. Like most of my content either takes, I'm about to tweet and that's my content. Ooh, tweet, I tweeted, it happened. And then a video is oftentimes the process of a day. And at the end of that day, I have feedback and people are telling me what they think and I get to take that and iterate and make a different video next week. This is so scary because like when the book comes out, I've like 12 people have read it and they've told me what they thought. That's not a huge data set to work with. And so it's definitely scary, but I have gotten a lot of good opinions from good people who I trust. And so I'm going to go with that. And you also liked it.
I really
so
liked
that's
it. Yeah,
good.
no, I did. But here's an interesting thing. Thinking of like the data set and coming from the world that you come from, is that something you plan to do as you get ready to make the next one and however many? Are you looking for data to influence the process?
Is data the right word? I don't know. But yeah, feedback for sure. I like the interesting thing about like a book is that there's like a whole review infrastructure. There's all these journals that will tell you what they think, and there's blogs and like people review books. People don't review YouTube videos. You just get like a like or a dislike, and like the like how many views it gets is your review. And so getting like actual input from people that's more than just this like binary like or watch or don't watch is really wonderful. And I'm so excited about getting like theories about how this book works and like what's going on in it and fan art and like that stuff is what I live for. Like I have always been a fan. I've been a fan of fandom and I want that. And to imagine, I'm trying not to like expect that too much, but like my hope is for that.
Well, it's funny that because you kind of stoked the flames a little bit. I was looking at your Twitter feed, and you're doing a really cool thing today, where you're sharing a lot of art. I thought the story behind how that all came together was kind of funny. If you wanted to share, like where that flame, as it will, was sparked for you.
So I got this book deal, and like I realized the thing I was most excited about wasn't like I was going to be a novelist. It was like maybe somebody's going to make fan art from my weird robot book, and seeing that in my mind's eye, I got so excited about it that I wanted it to happen before the book came out. So I reached out to an artist who I follow on Twitter. I'd never met her before, and I was like, can I pay you to make some art based on my book? Because I just got an advance from my publisher, and I could spend some of it on you. And then we actually worked together, and she became the art director for this project where we worked with 12 different artists to make art based on the book. And there's all the tweets are scheduled, so one just went live, and I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really beautiful art from like a really like wide array of independent artists that make very different stuff from each other, and those coming into my inbox were just such great creative fuel for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So I guess you got the advance. I was going to say, how far along were you, and had you written everything already, or did you give them?
Yeah, at that point the book was done.
Yeah, the book was done by then.
But it wasn't done with editing and yeah.
Still had all that stuff to go. You know, you just mentioned that you started 5 years. You've worked on it for 5 years, and I saw the great tweet as well from John that you know he got the pitch. And is that to say that you consistently, like for 5 years, that you would keep going back, or kind of an on and off thing? When you found the moment, you'd go in. When you had another new idea, you'd go back in and stuff like that. Is that kind of how it looked?
And there was a lot going on in my life, and kind of what kept bringing me back to the book was like when I would need to process something about my own career, my life, my relationship with the internet, my relationship with my audience, and like that's a weird thing. It's like being like a person in the public eye is weird, and there's not a lot of people that I think are like talking about how to do it, because it's fairly rare, and also talking about like what it does to you and what the responsibilities of it are. That I had to work through a lot of that, and that kept bringing me back to the story.
Well, that's what I guess I was really curious about, was if the original pitch or the original idea within those 20 some odd pages that you had, if it was mostly the giant robot story, or if it was, I want to explore my relationship.
Yeah.
Like what, chicken or the egg kind of thing.
It was the giant robot story.
It always starts with the giant robot.
That was I had some very very specific scenes in my mind for what like that I wanted to get to. There was, if you've read the book, there's a scene that involves grape jelly that I was that was sort of like the first seed, and I was like, how do I write a book around this?
That's what you built the book around.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then like what you find is you have these individual moments and you connect them together, and that's where like the characters that you've created and the experiences that I've had sort of like became so useful, and then I realized that like ultimately the book wasn't about giant robots or the grape jelly scene. It was about like telling a story about 2018 and how we interact with each other on the social internet, and how to imagine fame and the power that we all have.
Well, that's the beauty, and that's why I love the book, is because this for me is like sci-fi at its best, is when you're exploring and sort of dissecting these things that we all kind of sit back and ponder from time to time, but you're doing it through this fantastical lens of, oh, there happens to be a giant robot and some grape jelly stuff going on in here. You strike me, based on that, you strike me as a Star Trek guy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right, because that was something they were always known for. What were some of your other influences as you were writing your giant robot story? What were you thinking of? What were you trying to sort of hearken to? And
I love stories where things are very, very serious, but there's also these weird, absurd, silly moments. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a huge influence, and that is seeable, I think, in the sort of like the squad of friends taking on, sort of universe-sized problems. And in that weird way that you can be experiencing this like grief and powerlessness and like terrible things, but simultaneously, like, there's something dumb and silly and just doesn't make any sense happening. And those things don't rub against each other, they rest on each other. And that's something that I really love, and hope that I achieved some in this book. I like comic sci-fi. Cat Valenti's space opera is knocked my socks off. It's a recent book. John Scalzi has always been a favorite of mine. But I also read a lot of hard science fiction. The books that first got me excited about books were Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy back in the 90s. And that's very different from what I do. But like anytime KSR comes out with a new book, I'm in line. I've actually just got, because I'm a writer now, and I'm gonna get a galley of his new book Red Moon, which is coming out soon. So like I can do that.
That's so exciting.
That's really the whole reason why.
This has all been an elaborate.
Now I can get Kim Stanley Robinson's books early, so I'm done. Thank you very much. It was good.
Everybody, hey Green, everybody, this is it. It worked. He did it. It looks like, because it has just come out today, but is it still a little weird for you going, I'm a writer?
Well, I haven't been to a bookstore to see it yet.
You haven't.
And I think that's when it's gonna be like I've seen lots of pictures of it sitting on bookstore shelves, but like because I haven't seen it in a bookstore. But honestly, like the moment when that first hit was when I got the final book in the mail, and I had like a crate of 30 of them, and I was like, I gave one to my son, and I was like, can you read this? And he's 2, and so he opened it and he looked at it, and I took a picture, and I was like, I'm done. But I think the next like, it's weird. The process is a lot of like little moments like that instead of one big one, because I finished the book when my son was like 4 months old, and he's 2 now. So come on, publishing industry.
Get it together.
I make a video in a day.
Yeah. Has that been a difficult thing for you to adjust to? It sounds like you're still coping with it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like fine.
I was like, can we get it up by Christmas? And that was last year. And they were like, no, we cannot. And I was like, but what if we do anyway? Like, what if we move fast and break things? It's the internet era.
They were like, Hank, stop saying the word disrupt over and over again. It's not going to happen. This is when it comes out.
Yeah.
This is like just how it works.
Let's do it. How about you defer to the expertise of the people who've been doing it for 150 years?
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, and we've talked about how you have infused tons of your personal experience and your journey into this story, into this character. There was one moment in particular that I was really curious about that I felt like you must have pulled from. There's a moment between the president and April just has this realization of like, just a human being, just really frail. And for some reason in my head, maybe I'm crazy, I thought maybe you've experienced that moment in firsthand. And I'm wondering, one, have you? And two, were there other moments that were not just you infusing, but direct pulls from things you had gone through that you threw into the book?
Yeah. So for sure, I got to meet Barack Obama and interview him and give him a hug a while back, and it was very sort of charisma of office. Yeah. Like, it was very like, this is a big deal. Yeah. But also there was that like, this is a guy, and like we joked around a little bit, and it was weird, you know?
It's insane.
Yeah. So like, and that's something that like we all know objectively, but like have a hard time imagining. And like there's like the Us Weekly mentality of like, oh, Barack Obama shops for food? Are you saying that like, are you saying Brad Pitt poos? Exactly. Like, oh my. And that level of like, removal of the idea of the person from the human themselves. And that like is I think an important thing to explore generally right now at a moment when we, I think, are dehumanizing more people more, because we are all sort of like building our internet brands, and we're carefully constructing the thing that we present to the world, not just as people who have big creator audiences, but everybody. Yeah. Like, lots of people are doing that now, and I think we should be more aware of what it means. And yeah, like lots of other things are pulled directly from experience. Like, I also, I think, pulled a lot from like watching my friends go through some stuff. Yeah. Where they, didn't realize how much, and like having to be very aware. And also as a boss, this is the case of like the impact that you have on people. with the tiniest little actions or words that you might have, where people come away from that like reanalyzing the thing all the time because like you have this influence over their job or over their sort of like idea of the universe. And so like that's a ton of pressure, and it can be really like, it can be a huge weight, and it can stop some people from creating at all and sort of like be like, I just can't handle like thinking about every word that I say so much because I'm afraid that like one of these words is going to hurt somebody.
Right. That's wild. There's a lot of stuff in there that I want to unpack, but
yeah, no, we can talk about it for a while.
well, no, I mean, a lot of what you said is why that moment stuck out for me. Not just because like it reminded me of, oh yeah, you met the president, but like April experiencing sort of that humanizing moment at a time when like she's becoming less and less of a human herself in the eyes of the world. It's just it's a cool moment. But something you did mention in there is like kind of looking through the eyes of your friends and people that have gone through this stuff as well. Because I want to talk about finding April's voice. As much as you've pulled from your life, she's a very different person and human being than you are, and so I'm wondering what the process was like in fleshing her out and discovering her and figuring out who she is.
Yeah, it's interesting that you used the word discovering, because it felt that way. It felt like I wasn't creating something. I would write a scene and I'd be like, April wouldn't actually have done any of that. Like that was convenient for the plot, but like none of that is stuff April would do. And then I was like, but April can do anything. I'm in charge. She is my creation. But it turned out that not the case. That like there were moments when I was like, oh, like no, I have to understand that this is a person that like she's not real, but like in my mind she is, and like somehow my mind knows things about her that like I don't on the page, which was really helpful. It's a sort of like parts of the book being in pen, so that like the universe that I could explore isn't infinite. It gives me that sort of little limitation.
It's pretty amazing. We okay. We're gonna go to the audience in a little bit about for some audience questions. We've got a bunch out there. I promise I'll leave time. But you, like I said early at the top, there's so many things you're working on. I got like a million other questions about this book, but I do want to mention some other stuff that you're doing. You've got tons of cool stuff. How to vote in every state. I was looking at this. 54 individual videos. This is incredible. For the people that aren't up to speed, tell us what that is really quick.
Well, here in the U.S., every state has its own rules for how to vote, how to get registered, when you need to do it, because we have 50 different sandboxes to mess around with, and that's a good thing, but it is also kind of annoying in that you can't make one video for how to get registered to vote because it's different in every state. So we made 50 individual videos, and then we realized that there were some other things. Puerto Rico, there's like if you're military overseas, so we have some extra videos for those people as well. So it's a project so that like, and it's not just like how to get registered, but like how do you get a sample ballot, like where do you need to go if you need to go to the polls, how do you vote absentee if you are in a place that allows for that, and all that stuff.
It's so to do an individual video for every location. It just feels ambitious. Is it a project you would have even considered taking on a couple years ago, 5 years ago?
I mean, well, we did it first. Yeah, this is the second time we've done it, and honestly, like as I have had more connections with people who are good at producing video, good at writing video, good at doing research, like it's easier because. You know, Nicole Sweeney put it all together. My friend Taylor did like most of the research, and then like did some writing and like helped with others with writing. And Nicole co-hosted it with me. So yeah, and I don't want it to sound like it's super hard to get to vote. It's actually pretty easy. Most of the videos are very short. It's interesting making the whole series because some places it's much harder than others, and it's like wow, it's almost as if. Some places make it harder for you to vote. What reason could there be?
Was it difficult for you to kind of check that at the door and just be like, look, we're just telling people how to get it done. We cannot infuse this with commentary.
Right. Well, there's a couple of moments where you do honestly say like, I'm like you almost like apologize, like we're sorry that you have to register by mail in your state, but like you can't register online yet, and that is something that you should be aware of. And that's, to me, that's bipartisan. Like making voting easier should be something everybody wants.
So those are out there now. And then the other big thing I wanted to congratulate you on, I saw that WNYC, you and John just got a deal with WNYC for your podcasts and a bunch of your stuff going over there. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I love podcasting. It's such a great medium, and it's a joy to create in. doesn't have a platform in the way that all these other things do, where you're like working on YouTube or Facebook. Like you just put it on your server and an RSS feed, and you're in control. And so and then you have, I think, like a much more like a long-term connection with the audience because you spend so much time in their ear holes, and that is great.
That's where you want to be.
I'm in there. Just invite me right in. My name is Hank Green. Put me in your ear holes.
I believe that's how I sent the email to get you to be here. I said, we want to put you in people's ear holes.
Yeah.
Said, well, that's right up
I'm
his alley.
going to go right into your eye holes, too.
That's right. Well,
So it's the only ones, though. Just those four.
And then until smell-o-vision, of course, at which point then we'll figure that out. And then... How many things are you doing, Hank? You're at Town Hall tonight.
I am. I'm at Town Hall in New York City, and then I'm going across the U.S. I'll be on the West Coast 2 weeks from now, and Boston tomorrow, Canton, Ohio the day after that, because, you know, New York, Boston, Canton, the three big ones.
And you have your 2-year-olds with you the whole time?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's with me to Boston, and then he goes to Indianapolis.
He's missing Canton? How could you deprive? I'm sorry to our huge Canton contingent, by the way.
Yeah. And then he's going to hang out with his sister-in-law and what are they called? Cousins.
Yep, those are them. Hank, like I said, man, I loved this book, and you are an awesome guy, and I'm really excited you came by. We're going to go to the audience now, but thank you for making the time out of that ridiculously busy schedule to come hang out with us. It's been great having you here. We've got a bunch. Let's start. The first one's going to be right here.
All right.
Hi. So we were able to hear a lot about your book today, but for people who may not have the same opportunity, how would you describe it in 3 words?
How would I describe my book in 3 words?
Yeah.
Oh, God, no. You didn't ask me to, like, pitch the book at all. You never did that, so thank you
There you
for
go.
giving me the opportunity to pitch the book.
I failed you, Hank.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Gosh. Giant robot mystery. Giant robot mystery.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, he did it.
Okay. Now I want to read the book. That sounds good.
You're a writer. There you are. That was wonderful. Thank you for that. We got a few more. The next one's going to be right here on the green couch.
Okay. My daughter Nicole couldn't be here today.
Oh,
but
no.
She wanted me to
Hi,
ask this
Nicole.
question. She's watching on build.com, so.
You're an incredible mom for doing
Thanks
this.
for doing
A round of applause for her real quick for coming. I hope Nicole realizes how lucky she is. Go on.
And she's got my ticket for tonight, so she's really lucky.
Great.
In your latest Vlogbrothers video, Parable of the Perfect Pot, you talk about how writing a book is the opposite of your normal business creative production process. Coming out of it, how do you think you've changed as a person, constantly wanting to start new creative ventures? DFTBA.
Thanks to your daughter. I think I changed a lot while writing the book, but I don't know that it was the creative process that changed me as much. I think that it was like actually working through some issues I had and like I kind of feel like April made some mistakes so I didn't have to, almost. Like seeing the stuff that she went through. And there was a second part of the question that I forgot. Do you remember what it was? She did.
She's consulting her notes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was just really a good question.
Yeah. And yeah, I have not, though, this is what it was. I have not started to have less creative business ideas. My wife will attest to this. She'll be like, what if, like, you do fewer things? You did a book, and now you've done that, and we could just have a normal life. And I'm like, yeah, but I just had this great idea about we're going to revolutionize forks. The world will never be the same. They're called tines, not prongs.
Tines.
Yeah.
I know that from the Doughboys podcast.
Yeah, well, I know that because I've been investigating how to revolutionize forks.
Yeah, because you're up to your neck in fork data right now. You got fork guys calling you day and night.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more. What we got? Next one's going to be right here, I think, in the front or right. Let's see whose mic is on. Let's try you first.
Hi.
Hey, Mr. Green, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I was wondering, I was reading about this book on internet, and I saw this is the first book of 4 books coming up.
4 books? No, there will be 2 books. Hopefully there will be 2.
So the next one, it's following the same the same line as the story, or is
Yeah.
totally different about this? This is about
It's following a similar line of the story. Basically, I had a very sort of specific. I had a bunch of. This is the process of writing for me. I have a bunch of scenes that I would like to get to, and they're very important to me, and I love them, and they're beautiful and perfect. And then I have to figure out how are we going to get all these characters in the emotional and physical place they need to be in to have this scene happen. And I was writing this book, and I was getting ready for for me the most important scene, and then I realized the book was over, and that I had written the climax. And that I wasn't going to get to the scene, because if I wrote that scene, it was going to be like I would have had this thing, and then it would have been like, ooh, resolution, and then if I wrote this scene, it would be like, and then I'd be like, and now I'm done, I guess. So that didn't work at all, and I realized that because I know so much more of the story than you will when you finish this book, but you will also finish the book and be like, that seemed like an end. In the same way that I did when I was like, oh, I did it, I finished a book. That I had to continue writing the story, but I couldn't do it in one book.
Have you built up momentum? Are you going to George R.R. Martin us on this one? Have you built up momentum?
I've written about 30,000 words of the next one.
Okay.
I'm working on it actively. I really do not want to do that, but not because I'm so frustrated with the other authors who've done that, but because I'm friends with some people who are in the process of having waited a long time between sequels, and it's just really hard for them, and I know that, and I just want to do my best to not get in that position because it's rough.
I know you can't, because you don't want to. We don't want to spoil anything with this book. You don't want to spoil anything with the next book. And so if you can't answer this, that's fine. But you spend so much of this time exploring. You said, April, making mistakes so you wouldn't have to. Having worked through a lot of that, explored a lot of that, do you know already as you're working on it what it is you're exploring on the second book? Or are you trying to find that as you go?
Yeah, no, I know what I'm exploring.
You know,
yeah. It's some of the same stuff. It's some of the same stuff about power, but in a different way. It's more about money than it is about fame, which I think is something that we need to grapple with a lot in society, and something that we're not good at grappling with because it's super taboo.
Yeah.
And then I also want to talk maybe more about what social media might look like in 5, 10, 15 years than what it looks like right now.
That's exciting. That's really cool. All right, thank you for answering that. We've got one more final question. Here we go, right up front.
Hi. So you're in charge of, you started VidCon, you did videos, and now your book. How does it feel to know that you make a lasting impact on people? Because I know those events and, your videos, they have impacted my life. I'm in college, I'm still watching your videos, so how does it feel to know that you impact people, long term?
It's the best thing. The thing that I've come out of this realizing is that we all value is created by people, and there isn't some ultimate source of mattering. And so what I what I know is that the impact that we have on each other is the main thing that we get to do as people. And so that is huge for me. And we make a lot of educational content, and knowing that we help students and we help particularly teachers, which is a very difficult job, but also the most important one, it matters so much to me. And that really gives me a kind of security in who I am, and also a sense of responsibility to do it well, but without a sense of without a sense of weight to that, because it just feels like a joyful path. So thank you very much for that question, and it makes me feel good. Yeah.
Well, thanks for making all of us feel good, Hank, man, because this was so much fun. I'm so happy you were here to do this. I want to thank everybody for your questions. All of them, they were great, near and far. Those were wonderful questions. We're going to wrap things up, but quick reminder, the book, you can get it right now. Oh, is there an audio book? There is.
There is an audio book,
about the audio book. There's a physical book. It's out there. Go get it. If you're in New York, he's at Town Hall tonight. If you're in Canton, just keep your eyes open. He's on his way, but also there's going to be a national tour. There's a million things going on, but you know how to find him. The great Hank Green. Everybody make some noise, please, for this man. Please, come on.